Have you ever met someone who made you question everything about yourself, without saying a single judgmental word? Let me paint you a picture. You walk into a room full of people doing the same social dance we all know: small talk, fake smiles, performative laughter. Everyone's playing their part perfectly. But then there's this one person. They're not trying to be the center of attention, they're not dropping impressive facts about themselves, they're not even talking that much. Yet somehow, everyone gravitates toward them like they're emitting some kind of invisible force field of what exactly? Here's what's really happening in that room, and this is going to mess with your head. While everyone else is performing their carefully crafted personality, this person is just being. Authentically, unapologetically, magnetically being themselves. And it's so rare, so refreshing, so impossibly attractive that it makes everyone else feel like they're wearing a costume to their own life. You leave that encounter with a weird feeling gnawing at you. It's not attraction. Well, maybe it is, but not the romantic kind. It's not admiration either, though that's part of it. No, what you're feeling is something darker, more complex, more human than you want to admit. You're feeling envy. Pure, raw, secret envy. But here's the kicker: you'll never admit it. Not to them, not to your friends, maybe not even to yourself. Because admitting you envy someone's authenticity feels like confessing you're fake. Admitting you envy their emotional intelligence feels like admitting you're emotionally clueless. Admitting you envy their sense of purpose feels like admitting your life is meaningless. So you stuff it down, call it admiration, and move on with your life. Except you can't really move on, can you? Because you just met an INFJ, and they've ruined you for regular human interaction. Today we're diving headfirst into the psychology of this secret epidemic. We're talking about why INFJs, that mysterious 1% of the population, trigger feelings in people that are so intense, so uncomfortable, so revealing about our own inner lives that we'd rather pretend they don't exist. Fair warning, what you're about to discover might make you uncomfortable. It might make you look at your relationships differently. It might even make you question who you really are beneath all the masks you wear. But if you're brave enough to face the truth about why these people affect you so deeply, you might just discover something profound about yourself in the process. Ready to explore the envy you never knew you had? Let's go. 1. The 1% Club, when scarcity creates magnetic appeal. Let's get real about numbers for a second. INFJs represent roughly 1% of the population. But here's what's wild: they're not rare like a genetic disorder. They're rare like a perfect storm of personality traits that somehow landed in the same person. It's like winning the psychological lottery, except they didn't buy a ticket. They just showed up to life with this incredibly unique combination of traits that most people spend years trying to develop separately. Imagine having deep intuition, genuine empathy, creative vision, and the ability to actually follow through on meaningful goals. Most folks are lucky to nail one or two of these consistently. But here's the kicker that drives people absolutely crazy: INFJs don't act special because of their rarity. They're not walking around with limited edition human energy. Most of them don't even realize how uncommon their natural way of being actually is until someone points it out. And that authentic obliviousness to their own uniqueness? That's what makes the envy burn even brighter. It's like watching someone casually wear a priceless vintage jacket they found in their closet, not knowing it's worth a fortune. The effortless rarity is what gets under people's skin in the most enviable way possible. 2. The human lie detector, reading souls like open books. Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room. INFJs can see through people like they're made of glass. Not in a judgmental, creepy way, more like they have access to some kind of emotional X-ray vision that the rest of us missed in the human upgrade package. They'll pick up on micro-expressions you didn't even know you made. They sense the real story behind your words before you finished your sentence. And somehow, they know exactly what you need to hear, precisely when your soul is ready to receive it. It's like they have a direct hotline to your subconscious. Now imagine being around someone who operates on this level consistently. It's simultaneously comforting and terrifying. Comforting because finally, someone truly gets you. Terrifying because, well, someone truly gets you. Including the parts you're not ready to face yourself. The envy comes from watching INFJs navigate relationships and social situations with what looks like cheat codes for human interaction. While everyone else is playing emotional checkers, they're playing 4D chess with feelings. And they make it look as natural as breathing. 3. The authenticity phenomenon, being unapologetically real in a filtered world. In an era of Instagram filters, LinkedIn personas, and carefully curated social media lives, INFJs are out here being authentically themselves like it's the most natural thing in the world. And honestly, it kind of is for them. They can't sustain fake personas for long, it literally drains their life force. So they default to being genuine, which means what you see is what you get. Their struggles are real, their joys are real, their thoughts are unfiltered, well, mostly, and their presence feels like a breath of fresh air in a world full of performance artists. But here's what makes people secretly lose their minds with envy: their authentic self is genuinely impressive. They're not trying to be profound, but their natural thought patterns tend to go deep. They're not performing wisdom, they just happen to see life from angles that create insights most people have to work years to develop. Picture trying to be authentic when your authentic self feels, well, kind of basic compared to someone whose natural authenticity includes emotional depth, philosophical insights, and genuine care for humanity's well-being. It's like bringing a kazoo to a symphony and realizing you're sitting next to someone who doesn't even know they're a virtuoso violinist. 4. The emotional intelligence elite, masters of the heart's language. While most people are still figuring out the difference between feeling frustrated and feeling disappointed, INFJs are over here fluent in the entire emotional spectrum, both their own and everyone else's. They don't just recognize emotions, they understand the story behind them. They can sense when your anger is actually hurt in disguise. They know when your excitement is masking anxiety. They recognize when someone's silence is full of words they don't know how to say. And here's what makes this ability so enviable: they use this emotional intelligence to create healing spaces. They don't weaponize their insights or use them for manipulation. They use them to love people better, to offer support that actually helps, to ask the right questions at exactly the right moment. This is the kind of emotional sophistication that makes people feel truly seen and understood. It's why conversations with INFJs often feel different, deeper, more meaningful, more real. And in a world where most people feel emotionally invisible, this ability to truly see and understand others is like having a superpower that everyone wishes they possessed. 5. The purpose-driven existence, living like life actually matters. Here's something that'll make you question your entire existence. INFJs seem to have cracked the code on living meaningfully. Not perfectly, not without struggle, but with a sense of purpose that most people spend decades searching for. They're not just working jobs, they're pursuing callings. They're not just killing time, they're investing it in things that matter. And they genuinely believe they can make a difference in the world, even if that world is just the life of one person they care about. This purpose-driven approach to life is enviable because it provides a sense of direction and meaning that most people desperately crave. While others are asking, what's the point of all this? INFJs are busy creating points, finding points, and living like every choice matters because it does. But here's what people don't see behind the scenes. This sense of purpose often comes with enormous pressure. INFJs feel responsible for making their lives count, for using their gifts well, for leaving the world a little better than they found it. The purpose isn't just inspiring, it's demanding. But from the outside, it looks like they've got the meaning of life figured out while everyone else is still reading the instruction manual. 6. The intrigue factor, being fascinating without a performance. INFJs are the people you meet and immediately want to know more about. Not because they're trying to be mysterious or interesting, they just naturally are. They have this depth that reveals itself in layers, like discovering a new room in a house you thought you knew completely. They'll drop casual observations that make you rethink everything. They'll ask questions that reveal assumptions you didn't know you had. They'll share perspectives that are so uniquely theirs yet somehow universally relatable. And they do all of this without trying to impress anyone or prove how deep they are. This natural fascination is enviable because being genuinely interesting is actually incredibly difficult. Most people have to work at being engaging, but INFJs are captivating just by existing authentically. Their inner world is rich enough to fuel a lifetime of interesting conversations. People secretly envy this effortless depth because they want to be the person others find intriguing and want to understand better. But genuine depth can't be manufactured or performed. It's the natural result of a lifetime spent paying attention to the things that matter. 7. The loyalty legends, creating bonds that survive everything. When an INFJ decides you're part of their inner circle, congratulations, you've just won the relationship lottery. These people don't do surface-level connections. They build friendships that feel more like chosen family, partnerships that weather every storm, and professional relationships based on mutual respect and shared values. Their loyalty isn't blind or naive. They see your flaws, your mistakes, your human messiness, and they choose to love you anyway. Not despite your imperfections, but as a complete human being who happens to include those imperfections as part of your story. This quality of relationship is enviable because genuine, lasting connections are becoming endangered species in our disposable culture. People change friends like they change clothes, but INFJs are still close with people they met decades ago. They remember what matters to you, show up during difficult times, and celebrate your victories like personal triumphs. The envy comes from realizing that while you have hundreds of contacts in your phone, they have a handful of people who would drop everything for them, and who they do the same for in return. Quality over quantity isn't just a saying for them, it's a lifestyle. 8. The Alchemy artist transforming pain into beauty. Many INFJs possess this almost magical ability to take life's most difficult experiences and transform them into something meaningful, beautiful, or healing. Whether through art, writing, music, or simply the way they support others who are struggling, they have this internal alchemy that turns suffering into wisdom. They don't just survive hard times, they extract meaning from them. They don't just heal from trauma, they use their healing journey to help others find their own path to wholeness. It's like they have a built-in recycling system for pain that converts it into compassion, art, or insight. This transformative ability is incredibly enviable because everyone goes through difficult times, but not everyone knows how to make those experiences meaningful. Most people just want to get through hard times and forget them. INFJs somehow manage to honor their pain by creating something valuable from it. It's like watching someone turn coal into diamonds through the sheer force of their perspective and processing ability. They make suffering look meaningful, which is both inspiring and enviable for those who are just trying to survive their own challenges. 9. The boundary wizards, protecting energy like the precious resource it is. As INFJs mature, they become absolutely masterful at protecting their energy. They understand that their emotional availability is a finite resource, and they guard it like the treasure it is. This means saying no to energy vampires, limiting exposure to toxic situations, and prioritizing their own emotional well-being. They've learned the hard way that they can't pour from an empty cup, so they've become experts at keeping their cup filled. They know when to engage and when to withdraw, when to help and when to step back, when to be available and when to be unavailable. This boundary-setting mastery is enviable because most people are terrible at protecting their own energy. They say yes when they mean no, spend time with people who drain them, and constantly overcommit until they burn out. Meanwhile, INFJs have learned to treat their energy like the limited resource it actually is. The secret envy comes from watching them navigate social obligations with grace while still maintaining their own well-being. They somehow manage to be caring and available without being doormats or people pleasers. It's like they've cracked the code on being helpful without being self-destructive. 10. The visionary advantage, seeing potential where others see problems. INFJs have this incredible ability to see potential in people, situations, and ideas that others write off as hopeless. They look at someone who's struggling and see who they could become with the right support. They examine broken systems and imagine better alternatives. They see possibilities where others only see obstacles. This visionary perspective isn't naive optimism. They see the problems clearly. But they also see beyond the current reality to what could be possible with effort, time, and the right conditions. They believe in transformation because they've witnessed it, both in themselves and others. This ability is enviable because it allows them to maintain hope in situations where others have given up. It makes them incredible motivators, supporters, and change makers. They can inspire people to reach for potential they didn't even know they had because INFJs saw it first. People secretly envy this forward-thinking perspective because it must be nice to live in a world full of possibilities rather than just problems. While others are focused on what's wrong with everything, INFJs are busy imagining how to make things right. 11. The wisdom paradox, understanding life beyond their years. There's something almost otherworldly about the wisdom many INFJs possess, regardless of their age. They seem to understand life's complexities, accept its contradictions, and navigate its challenges with a depth of understanding that often surprises people who know their chronological age. This isn't book smarts or academic intelligence. It's deep, intuitive wisdom about how life works, how people function, and how to find meaning in the midst of chaos. They understand that life is both beautiful and tragic, that people are both wonderful and terrible, and that growth often comes through difficulty. This wisdom beyond their years is enviable because it provides a sense of groundedness and perspective that many people spend decades trying to develop. When life gets overwhelming, it would be incredibly comforting to have that kind of deep understanding to fall back on. The envy comes from watching them handle life's curveballs with a grace and understanding that seems impossible for their age or experience level. It's like they were born with an instruction manual for human existence that everyone else is still trying to find. 12. The contradiction champions, embracing life's beautiful messiness. INFJs are remarkably comfortable with contradictions and paradoxes in ways that most people find deeply enviable. They can love someone fiercely while being frustrated with their choices. They can be deeply introverted while caring intensely about humanity. They can be idealistic visionaries who are also practical realists. This comfort with complexity allows them to understand nuanced situations, complicated people, and contradictory emotions without needing to resolve everything into neat, simple categories. They've made peace with the gray areas of life where most people feel lost and confused. In a world that's increasingly complex and contradictory, this ability to hold multiple truths simultaneously is incredibly valuable. They can navigate situations where others get stuck because they don't need everything to make perfect sense or fit into clean categories. People envy this psychological flexibility because it allows INFJs to be at peace with life's inherent messiness while others are still fighting for clarity that may never come. 13. The intuitive intelligence, knowing things without knowing how they know. Perhaps one of the most enviable INFJ traits is their powerful intuition, that ability to just know things without being able to explain how they know them. They'll get gut feelings about people, situations, or decisions that turn out to be remarkably accurate. This intuitive intelligence goes beyond logical analysis. They can sense when something isn't right, even when everything looks perfect on the surface. They can predict how situations will unfold based on subtle cues others miss entirely. They make decisions that seem impulsive but are actually based on complex pattern recognition happening below conscious awareness. This intuitive gift is enviable because it's like having access to information that others can't see. While everyone else is analyzing pros and cons lists, INFJs are tuning into a deeper intelligence that often leads them in exactly the right direction. The secret envy comes from watching them make decisions that seem to come from nowhere but consistently work out well. It's like they have an internal GPS system for life that everyone else wishes they could access. The psychology behind the silent envy. So why won't people admit to envying INFJs? The psychology behind this silence is fascinating and reveals a lot about human nature. First, there's the vulnerability factor. Admitting envy means acknowledging that someone else has something you desperately want but don't possess. In our culture of self-reliance and personal branding, this feels like admitting weakness or inadequacy. Second, INFJs are often perceived as good people, kind, caring, and genuinely interested in helping others. Envying someone who seems morally superior feels wrong, almost petty. It's easier to envy someone's material success than their character traits. Third, many people can't articulate exactly what they're envying. They feel drawn to INFJs, impressed by them, even intimidated by them, but they can't put their finger on why. The envy remains in the realm of feeling rather than conscious thought. Fourth, there's the fear of exposure. If you admit you envy someone's emotional intelligence, does that highlight your own emotional limitations? If you confess to envying their authenticity, does that reveal your own tendency toward performance and pretense? Finally, there's the social acceptability issue. Our culture is more comfortable with envy directed toward external achievements, money, fame, beauty, success. Envying internal qualities like wisdom, authenticity, or emotional depth feels more personal and therefore more threatening to admit. The hidden struggles behind the enviable traits. Here's something crucial that often gets overlooked. Being enviable isn't always enviable. Every INFJ trait that others admire comes with its own set of challenges that aren't immediately visible to outside observers. Their emotional intelligence means they feel not only their own emotions intensely but also absorb the emotions of everyone around them. Imagine going to a party and feeling not just your own social anxiety but also picking up on everyone else's insecurities, frustrations, and hidden pain. It's emotionally exhausting. Their authenticity, while magnetic, sometimes makes them targets for criticism or manipulation. People who aren't comfortable with genuine emotion might try to shame them for being too sensitive or too intense. Their visionary nature can leave them feeling isolated and misunderstood. When you can see possibilities that others can't imagine, it's lonely being the only one who believes in those visions. Their deep empathy, while healing for others, can lead to emotional burnout and compassion fatigue. They give so much of themselves in relationships that they sometimes forget to save energy for their own needs. Their high standards for authenticity and meaning can make them perfectionistic and self-critical. They put enormous pressure on themselves to live up to their own values and make their lives count in significant ways. What this reveals about universal human desires. The widespread secret envy of INFJs reveals something beautiful about human nature. We all long for the same fundamental qualities. We want to be understood and to understand others. We crave authentic connection and meaningful purpose. We desire the ability to transform our pain into something valuable and to see potential where others see problems. This envy isn't really about wanting to be an INFJ specifically. It's about wanting to embody the qualities that INFJs naturally possess: depth, authenticity, wisdom, emotional intelligence, purpose, and the ability to create meaningful connections. The good news is that while we might not naturally have all these traits, we can develop many of them with intention and practice. We can learn to be more emotionally aware, more authentic in our relationships, more purposeful in our choices, and more open to the possibilities around us. The envy becomes productive when we use it as a compass pointing toward what we value and what we want to cultivate in our own lives. The ripple effect, how INFJs change everyone around them. One of the most enviable aspects of INFJs is their ability to bring out the best in other people. They create safe spaces where others feel permission to be vulnerable, authentic, and real. They believe in people's potential so strongly that it often becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. In their presence, people find themselves sharing things they've never told anyone. They discover insights about themselves they didn't know they had. They feel inspired to pursue dreams they'd given up on. They experience what it's like to be truly seen and understood. This transformative effect on others is perhaps the most enviable trait of all. Who wouldn't want the ability to help people become the best version of themselves simply by being authentically yourself? The secret envy often stems from watching INFJs effortlessly create the kind of positive impact that others struggle to achieve even with tremendous effort. They change lives by being themselves, which is both inspiring and enviable. Conclusion: from envy to inspiration. So there you have it, the complete breakdown of why people secretly envy INFJs and why they'll never admit it. From their rare combination of traits to their ability to live authentically meaningful lives, INFJs possess qualities that touch on our deepest human desires for connection, purpose, and understanding. But here's the real plot twist: this envy reveals something beautiful about all of us. It shows that despite our differences, we all long for the same things: to be understood, to understand others, to live meaningfully, to create authentic connections, and to transform our struggles into something valuable. The secret isn't trying to become an INFJ if you're not one. The secret is using this envy as a roadmap to understand what you value and what you might want to develop in your own unique way. Maybe you can't naturally read people's emotions like an INFJ, but you can learn to listen more carefully. Maybe you don't have their intuitive wisdom, but you can cultivate your own form of insight through reflection and experience. Instead of letting envy eat away at us, we can let it inspire us. We can appreciate the unique gifts that INFJs bring to the world while also recognizing and developing our own unique contributions. Because here's the truth: every personality type brings something valuable to the human experience. That INFJ you secretly envy? They need what you bring to the world too. Your analytical skills, your practical wisdom, your social ease, your creative expression, your leadership abilities, your grounding presence, whatever unique combination of traits you possess is needed and valuable. The secret envy of INFJs isn't really about INFJs at all. It's about our human hunger for depth, meaning, connection, and the ability to make a positive difference in the world. And that hunger? That's not something to be ashamed of, it's something to be honored and pursued. So the next time you find yourself secretly envying an INFJ's ability to understand people or their sense of purpose or their authentic presence, remember that this envy is actually pointing you toward your own potential for growth. It's showing you what you admire, what you value, and what you might want to cultivate in your own beautifully unique way. After all, the world doesn't need more INFJs. It needs more people who are courageously, authentically themselves, whatever type that happens to be. And maybe, just maybe, someone out there is secretly envying something about you that you don't even realize you possess. The envy cycle continues, but now you know the secret: we're all just humans trying to figure out how to live meaningfully, love authentically, and leave the world a little better than we found it. And honestly, that shared struggle is pretty beautiful, even when it's wrapped in secret envy.